Hi guys, it's Asia. Before we get into the video, I want to acknowledge a few things. One, the loud rumbly noise over there is my fan. Everyone in my house is asleep. I have work very early tomorrow morning, but I have to refilm and re-upload the first video that's going on my channel. The second thing I'd like to acknowledge is that the lighting is going to be absolutely awful because it's like almost 11 and I'm re-recording this, so there's like no natural light and I don't have any white light in my room, so like bear with me. Third, I can't really hear because I just got home from a dance and it was super loud, so if I talk a little loud, it's because I can't hear myself. Fourth, I wanted to talk really quick about the reason why I have to re-record and re-upload. The reason I have to re-record is that I went to delete the original like YouTube video from my camera roll just to like clear up space, because it was like a 20-minute video just like taking up space on my phone. And so I deleted that, and then I went to delete a bunch of like earlier takes that I didn't end up using, and I accidentally deleted like the actual footage I used. So they disappeared from my video editor and I have to refilm it. And then the reason why I took it down was that like there were just some security and like privacy reasons that I decided I wanted to take it down, and I wanted to make edits. Like I wanted to bleep out certain stuff or just cut it out of the video, but since I deleted it, I wanted to refilm it and just start fresh. And to anyone who was offended by the privacy reasons, I'm sure if you were, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I just wanted to apologize really quick. I didn't really think what I was doing was like offensive or anything, and like it wasn't even like a big thing that like I thought of. I wanted to like bleep a name that I set out, and so I didn't even know, and it was brought to my attention, and after thinking about it, I decided it's just not worth it to have that information in there, especially when clearly some people like took it to heart, since it was a sensitive subject. And then fifth, I think this is the fifth thing I'm going to address before we get into the story. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you watched the first video. This is going to be where I post the majority of my rants and story times from now on, just because like obviously 20-minute Snapchat stories are super annoying, and we might also do like lookbooks, makeup tutorials, stuff along those lines. I don't know, we'll see where it takes us. And with that, we're gonna get into the video. Before I even start talking about the story, the context for the story, or anything, I'm just going to go over a few things about Ouija boards in general, because that's what this video pertains to. It's when some people and I messed with a Ouija board and things got super weird. So one, there's like, the first thing you need to know is what a planchette is, because that's like a word that's just weird, but it's going to be used throughout the whole thing. The planchette is the piece that moves around the board and has the little like clear thing in it so you can see the answers. That's a planchette. Okay, now there are like some like ground rules that go along with playing a Ouija board. When you start, you circle the planchette around the board once for every person who's playing in that session. Two, you don't ask like disrespectful questions or anything. You're supposed to take it seriously, because obviously, you know, you're opening a portal to demons or spirits or whatever, and you don't want to make them mad. Three, you never play alone. That doesn't really play into this story, but that's just like a big rule in general with Ouija boards, is you never ever play alone. And four, you always close the session. You always have to say goodbye, otherwise the door is left open. So as to whether or not I actually believe in Ouija boards, I'm kind of like of both schools of thought, and that's that I believe that like, yes, they can be used to communicate with spirits, but I also believe the scientific theory that it can be just your subconscious doing what it wants. And so like both of those kind of play into this story, I think, and I think that those kind of scenarios can coexist in one session, if that makes sense. And that's kind of what happened here and why it was so freaky. So to give you context now, this Ouija board was brought in last year during Beauty and the Beast. A bunch of the girls that were in the same dressing room as me thought that, like, it would be cool to bring a Ouija board in, just to have it to mess around with and to have it for decoration. We were like, oh, like, spooky, like, edgy kind of thing. And, like, we were all like, great. And we all messed around with it, but, like, nothing really happened. It was a super fake Ouija board. Like, it was, like, board game material, if that makes sense. Like, what Chutes and Ladders or, like, a Sorry board would be made out of. And the planchette was plastic and literally had a battery compartment in it, so you could, like, turn it on and it would move by itself. But nothing really happened, and we didn't have any batteries in the planchette or anything, and we didn't have it on. It was just, like, nothing really happened. So, and the girl who actually owned it never took it back. Like, she never grabbed it. And so it was just kind of, like, sitting in the women's dressing room until either this weekend or this past weekend, when we had a haunted house / movie screening of Hocus Pocus for the drama department, and it went off well. We actually, like, did pretty successfully, and but it was the last night, and things had been kind of slow. Like, only a few people showed up for the movie, and we had some downtime between the haunted house being over and the movie actually starting. And so we were all just, like, chilling, and we were, like, eating snacks and talking, and, like, people were scaring each other and pranking each other, and that was all fine and dandy until my friend Nick, he used the Ouija board to scare someone. Like, he got it out of the women's dressing room, and he put it in this practice room, which is, like, off of the band room. So, like, the thing with the auditorium is it's the auditorium, then there's the backstage hallway, which goes into the ensemble room, which is where the practice rooms are. There's 3 of them, and then that goes into the band room / choir room. And in the very back practice room, there's this really old, creepy looking piano. And the practice rooms are filled up with risers and equipment that couldn't be in the backstage area during the haunted house. So, it was, like, really, really hard to, like, actually get to. Like, Nick had to crawl over and under the risers and stuff to actually put the Ouija board on the piano. And he had this one girl, like, sitting in there, like, ready to, like, knock on stuff, like, and make scary stuff happen, I guess, to scare someone as he, like, brought them there. But, like, Nick had been scaring people, like, the entire time we had downtime, so, like, it was kind of like the boy who cried wolf. No one wanted to go with him because it had been, like, a joke every other time, and it, like, really sucked. And so, it took him a long time to get someone that would actually go with him. So long, in fact, that the girl who was supposed to be in there, like, ready to scare other people, left the room. And so I guess the Ouija board fell, like, on its own, and it wasn't, like, so, like, here's the music stand portion of the piano, and there's, like, a little ledge here that, like, prevents music from tipping over or whatever. It was leaning right on it, so, like, there was nothing, like, it couldn't have just fallen over, if that makes sense. And he was super freaked out, and so he, like, called me to it, and he was like, come on, I swear I'm not messing with you, like, just go with me. And he goes, this girl was supposed to be in there, but she wasn't in there, and it fell over, and it really, really freaked me out. And I'm like, okay. And so we walk to there, and we hear, like, notes being played at the bottom of the piano, and it was super, super creepy. And so then, like, everyone was kind of like, oh, wow, that's super freaky, like, kind of freaking out a little bit. And it was, like, it was just, like, a kind of, like, freaky, could have been coincidental, but still, like, spooky either way thing that happened. And, like, it really didn't need to have that much drama around it. And then, like, I didn't really want to mess with it after that, just because, like, I felt like there was unnecessary drama being created. And then, Nick was like, come on, we'll play with it, like, just me and you. And I'm like, okay. And so we go down to the front of the auditorium, in the space between where the front row of seats and the stage are, like, in that, like, big space there. And we're sitting and we're messing around with it, and, like, nothing is really happening. We get a couple of, like, yes or no answers, but it's kind of, like, annoying, and people are, like, freaking out that we're playing with it, and they're like, you shouldn't play with it, just leave it alone. And I was like, you know what, we're just gonna, it's causing more drama than it's worth, so we're just gonna say goodbye. And so we said goodbye, and we left it alone. And Then this girl comes up to me and she's like, I just heard someone say something to me in the backstage. And like, we had been telling scary stories for the last 3 days in the auditorium. So like, everyone was kind of like, wow, it's such a spooky space kind of thing. So I was sure that it was like just her mind playing tricks on her a little bit, because we've been telling scary stories about the space and she was alone back there. So like, I was sure it was fine. It was just like her mind. And I told her that. I was like, I'm sure it was nothing, like, you're okay. And then she goes, well, I heard someone say something to me. And I'm like, are you sure you didn't hear someone that was talking like by the door that goes to the backstage? Are you sure that there wasn't anyone else back there? And she goes, oh no, I was alone and it was no one talking to me. And I'm like, okay. And then I go, well, what did it say to you? And she said, it said yes. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, it just randomly said yes to you? Like, I'm still certain that it was, she just heard someone talking on the other side of the door that goes to the backstage, or there was someone back there and she just didn't know it, or something like that. Because like, yes is such a like random thing. Like, she wasn't talking, no one was talking allegedly, so like, why would it just say yes? You know what I mean? And so after that, it was just kind of like, okay. It was more about like damage control and just getting her to calm down. And she was like, you need to play the Ouija board again and close the portal for real this time. And I'm like, for real this time? For real this time? We said goodbye. Like, I told her that. I was like, we said goodbye. Like, we did all we could do. Like, and I'm sure you're fine. And it was just your mind playing tricks on you. And she goes, well, clearly it's not all fine. And the portal wasn't closed because I just heard something say something to me. And I'm like, okay. And I didn't want to get into it with her because, like, it just wasn't worth it. And I was like, fine. And so everyone was freaking out. They're like, oh my God, you're going to mess with the Ouija board again. And I'm like, no, just stop. And then I was like, Nick, you and I are going to go in the women's dressing room and we're just going to do our thing. We're going to say goodbye and get it over with. And so we go in there and there are some people out there. And after that, we're like just playing around and we're like testing the door. Like, she's like, she goes up to the door, and she looks at someone who's standing outside of the door because they just want to listen in. And I was like, I don't want all of these people in this room because I don't want all of this drama to get spread, you know what I mean? And she goes, when I close this, try to open it so we can make sure it's not locked. And so she closes it, and then the person on the other side of the door opens it, and it's all fine. And then she like fiddles with the lock a little bit, and that's kind of like, not like a big thing, but something to remember coming up. So we start playing with the thing, and Nick and I are just like asking it some yes or no questions, like, is there anyone here with us? How many people are here with us? How long have you been here, type thing. And it says 4. Nick and I get chills because we're like, wow, like 4 years, like they've been here since we were freshmen, or at least since I would have been a freshman, if that makes sense. Like, so it was like really, really scary. And we just both got chills, like really, really intense, weird goosebumps. And the girl, she like, while she thought we weren't looking, scratched her hand and showed it to us. And it was like, no one scratched your hand. It's not that type of gig. Like, let it go. It's okay. And we kind of just let it pass and moved on from it. But like, it was still kind of like, why? And then we're like, what is your name? And then it goes to like the first letter of their name. And I'm not going to say the first letter of their name just because that was like one of the reasons why I wanted to re-edit. But we were like, first letter of your name, and it tells us, because like we had tried to get it to tell us its name for like a couple minutes and it just didn't work. So we were like, okay, what is the first letter of your first name? And it told us. And the girl goes, I think I know who it is. And she says who she thinks it is, and she like gives like very vague information about them that like anyone who knew of the person would have known, if that makes sense. Like, it was like public knowledge that she was talking about. And, you know, maybe she really did know them really well, like she was saying, but judging by her actions, like, that happened before that and that followed, I really doubt it. And we were like, no, we don't think so, and, I don't know, it was just really weird. She started crying a lot, and we were like, girl, you're fine. It's not that deep. There are 26 letters in the alphabet. This is one letter. There are 8 billion people on the planet. This could literally be so many different people. And so, like, Nick and I both get this, like, weird numb sensation in the back of our necks. Like, I started to get it. It was really, really weird and uncomfortable, and it wasn't, like, the way I was sitting or anything. It was, like, the back of my neck and, like, up into the base of my head started to go numb, and I was like, does anybody else feel that? And the girl goes, no, I don't, but I have a weird burning sensation in my back. Which was weird because, again, it didn't seem like a negative spirit, and that's not something that, like, a normal spirit would do. And so, after that, Nick is like, yeah, I have it too. And so we're just like, we keep going, kind of like just talking and going along with it. And then, like, she just interjects, as she had been for, like, the whole session, asking random questions. She goes, how did it die? And, like, that's, like, one question you're not supposed to ask spirits when you're playing with the Ouija board. It's like, do not ask them how it died, how old they were when they died, or, well, I guess you could ask them how old they were when they died, but, like, you're not supposed to ask them or how they died, what the other side is like, stuff like that. And so it's just like, oh my god. And that was just one annoying thing that she had done. It was, like, in addition to the hand and just the burning sensation in her back and all of the drama, just trying to insert herself in the situation, interjecting with questions, constantly asking if she could, like, join the session. And at that point, it was, like, not worth it, because we would have to say goodbye, break the connection, and restart all over again. So it just wasn't worth it. And she was trying to insert herself into a situation that, like, wasn't about her, if that makes sense. So after, like, a few more questions, I was just like, we're done. Like, they started asking questions about, like, would anything go wrong during musical that year? And, like, this is where I think, like, the subconscious part kind of came into effect, because, like, it was like, will anything go wrong when we're putting on Phantom this year? And it was like, yes. And we were like, who's gonna get hurt? And it was like, Stowe. And it's like, what? No, this is literally our mind playing tricks on us. And so I was like, you know what, we're done, we're over it, I'm over the drama, we're we're donezo, we're saying goodbye. And so, like, it got to the point where I was just like, Nick, move your hands to goodbye. And so we moved it and we said goodbye. And after that, I packed up the Ouija board in the box, and I was going to take it with me because I didn't want anyone else messing with it and making any more drama or freaking themselves out any more than people were already freaked out. And so we walked out, and except when we went to open the door, it was, like, locked. Like, she was like, oh my god, the door wasn't locked when we closed it, like, now we can't get out. Remember that she, like, fiddled with the lock. And I don't think it could have been on purpose. I don't know. It was very, like, it was a very attention-seeking vibe in general. But, I literally, like, went up and unlocked it, and we got out, and it was fine. And then we were sitting up there, and weird technical difficulties had been happening. Like, the weird audio settings had been toggled off. Like, the music and the rest of the audio for the movie were playing, but the voices weren't. Like, the voices of the actors. And then, like, there were weird visual glitches, but the movie finally starts, and about, like, 15-20 minutes in, she comes up to us at random. Nick and I are sitting in the front row watching this movie, eating snacks, and she goes, Mrs. Wyatt, who was a mother that helped, and I changed her name was Mrs. Wyatt. She goes, Mrs. Wyatt thinks we should go to confession on Sunday. And I'm like, we're not going to confession. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. And she goes, and we should also pray the rosary. And I'm like, why? Like, it really wasn't that deep. I think it was blown out of proportion a lot by some of the people involved. And it just was a bunch of unnecessary drama. And so, like, a few minutes later, I go back out to get a water and I'm talking to Mrs. Wyatt. And she's like, yeah, no, I really don't think you guys need to. I think you guys just, like, freaked yourselves out more than anything else, and, like, you're fine. And I was like, yeah, and, you know, like, the girl thought it was this one person, and she goes, there's no way, like, they have better things to do. They're either at peace or they have better things to do than to be here messing with a bunch of high schoolers. And I'm like, I know, that's what I was thinking. And so, after that, one last thing happened with this story. I get to choir on Monday, and, like, there are, like, 5 people who weren't even there just talking about it, and, like, talking about it like it was this big, like, awful, super scary, demonic, like, experience. And I'm like, oh my god, it's not that deep. And so I was just like, let it go. It's not that deep. We freaked ourselves out more than anything else. It's not that deep. I repeat, it's not that deep. And that's where the story ends. Weird things have been happening to me personally. I don't know, I think I'm just haunted anyways. But yeah, that was just the edited version of the tea. I'm sorry I had to edit and re-upload. But I hope you guys like this. I hope you subscribe, and thank you for watching. Keep in tune for my next video.